Alright, we are live, ladies and germs. And there's the sissy kitty. Just chilling on my computer desk. As she wonders why the hell I'm mentioning her name here. Alright, sissy kitty. There's another one of the little shitties. It's the main shitty. Silly cats. Well, I wanted to do this yesterday, but there was a lot of shit going on. But tonight we're going to be doing the Coke Zero Sugar 400 review, and we've got a lot to talk about. So saddle up, lock and load. Let's get this thing started. This is the fuel. Adjust this up a little bit. Alright, what is happening, ladies and germs? This is the Packer Man, and welcome to tonight's edition of The Fuel. Tonight we are going to be reviewing the 2021 Coke Zero Sugar 400 from the Daytona International Speedway. It's our 109th edition of The Fuel. Title of tonight's episode, we're going to need punch stat. Because there were a lot of hits in this one, particularly towards the end of the race. But man, I tell you, this race was hella fun to watch. A hell of a lot more fun to watch than the 500 was, that's for sure. I mean, I don't know if it was the shorter distance or what the deal was. I mean, these guys, a lot more racy, or a slightly different aero package, I guess, that they had in place. I guess they had a slightly bigger wicker bill on the rear spoiler or some shit like that. That made things a lot more racy. Well, whatever the case may be, it certainly made for one hell of an entertaining race that kind of ended in a pretty shitty way, unfortunately. But we're going to be getting into all of that. But Ryan Blaney gets his second win in a row. After winning the previous week at Michigan. So that's 3 on the season, and he's going into the playoffs with a shit ton of momentum, and he'll actually be seated number 2 in the playoff, which we will be talking about here at the end of this review, because I do have some things I want to say about, who I think will be the ones to go for the championship, and it's not a long list. Because I'm looking at this list and their performances over the past season and what they've done recently, and there are just some people that I just don't think are going to be contenders for this championship, because this is a momentum sport after all. But before we get into everything that happened at Daytona, let's take care of do some housekeeping and do some stories and headlines and all that good stuff. Quit trying to claw me, cat. One of these cats is laying here on the damn computer desk, and he's trying to grab at my arm. Little shit. Trying to work here. Trying to work here, butthead. Anyway, first headline: Kyle Larson wins the 2021 regular season title. He was actually involved in the last lap crash, but despite that, Denny Hamlin was also involved heavily in one of the crashes, and Larson would win the regular season championship, which is a pretty big trophy, as it turns out. But his redemption arc is not yet complete, because now he's got to go for the big cup, the NASCAR Cup. And he's going to have a pretty good head start on everybody else in the playoff, which, like I said, we'll be getting into that when we get into it. But we also have some silly season news. Eric Jones will be back with Richard Petty Motorsports in 2022. Obviously, he was looking at the landscape of all the teams that are going to be in the Cup Series in 2022, and pretty much all of them, all the good ones anyway, are snapped up. So he decided to just stick with the 43 car for 2022. And we also have a landing spot for Kurt Busch, which I think a lot of us were expecting. Since Chastain was going to Trackhouse in 2021, we figured Kurt will probably go to 2311, which ends up being the case, and he will be driving the 45 car in 2022, and Monster Energy will be the sponsor of that car. So it's good that Kurt has somewhere to go at the very least. And get off my... Come on, cat. Seriously. Cat was trying to claw at my frickin' microphone cord, and I can't be having that. But another thing that's kind of got people up in arms over this past week, the door numbers are going to be moved forward on the doors in 2022. This has obviously been a huge topic of conversation over the last year, over whether or not the door numbers should be moved or not, or whether they should stay in their spot that they have always been in. It's definitely caused quite the split argument. Whether they should be moved back, move forward, stay where they're at. Well, NASCAR evidently has already made that decision, because they're going to be moved forward towards the front of the car for 2022. I honestly don't see what good it's going to do. I mean, I know a lot of people that are for it is like, well, you need more space for the sponsors, and all this other shit. And I'm just like, what, the hood and two big ass quarter panels isn't enough space? What the fuck is wrong with you? I don't think it's really that big of a deal, but I honestly don't think they should move the numbers at all, but that's just me. But it is what it is. I'm not going to raise a really big stink about it. I mean, it's whatevs. But another thing that happened during this week, unfortunately, not too long after the passing of Bob Jenkins, we ended up losing Robin Miller earlier this week. And like Bob Jenkins, he lost a long battle with cancer. Of course, Bob Jenkins lost his battle with brain cancer, whereas Robin Miller had a long 4-year battle with bone marrow cancer. And it's a shame, because he was one of those guys in the in the IndyCar garage. Of course, longtime journalist, and he was one of those guys in the IndyCar garage that would just tell it like it is, But he was a very valued member of the community, and at least he was at the Indianapolis road course race weekend, so that would be his final weekend before passing earlier this week after his long battle with cancer. He was 71 years old. Just yet another big blow to motorsports journalism after losing Bob Jenkins earlier this week, who was a long-time play-by-play announcer, and now we lose Robin Miller on top of that. So, really sucks. We lost a lot of the good ones this week. Or this month, I should say, because we did lose Bob Jenkins, I think, first week of Miller, which really sucks. As my camera is now frozen. Fucking OBS. Sorry, OBS froze on me for a second. I saw my camera was frozen and then it fucking froze. Goddamn OBS. It's great to use, but sometimes it just wants to take a shit. Alright. Well, anyway, with all that out of the way, let's go ahead and get into this review of the Coke Zero Sugar 400. There's a lot to talk about. So, statistics, total laps, it was a 160 lap race. Stages broke down 50, 50, 60 to make up the 160 laps. Kind of hoping this thing doesn't fuck up on me while I'm trying to do this review. Come on, OBS, quit being a dick. Alright, so several drivers had to go to the rear of the field due to tech inspection failures, including Kyle Larson, who I guess failed tech inspection twice. He would have led the field to the green, by the way. But instead, it's going to be William Byron who starts from the pole. So, stage 1, 50 laps. Hamlin and Byron are side by side for the lead as Byron leads lap 1. But eventually they start forming the choo-choo train. I'm thinking to myself, oh shit, we're going to see something similar to the Daytona 500, aren't we? Thankfully that was not the case, because several moved down to the inside to make the inside work, and we start seeing lead changes galore. Kevin Harvick provides the first pure lead change on lap 7. William Byron takes the lead back on lap 9, and then Denny Hamlin takes the lead for himself on lap 10. These were all lead changes during the commercial, of course, because they decided to go to a fucking commercial while this was going on. Good job, NBC. Fucking idiots. The field goes 3 wide on lap 14. We get our fourth pure lead change on that lap with William Byron taking over. Denny Hamlin takes the lead back 2 laps later on lap 16. Chastain smacks the wall a little bit, and he eventually has to come to pit road for a flat right rear tire. Does get it replaced though, and I think he stays on the lead lap because the competition caution was come a couple laps after this. William Byron took the lead on lap 17. Then Austin Dillon, who was trying to fight his way into the playoff, he was on the outside looking in. He took the lead on lap 18. And Chase Elliott takes over the lead on lap 20. Then we get our first caution of the day on lap 21, which was the competition caution. If you're keeping score at home, we're already at 8 pure lead changes in 20 laps. Damn. Super competitive right off the bat. Everyone comes in. A lot of them just take fuel. Michael McDowell, the Daytona 500 winner, blows up under caution, so he's not going to get a chance to go for the sweep. Elliot leads on the restarts. Custer and Elliot battle for the lead on the restarts, but Elliot is able to hold off the challenges of Logano and Custer for the time being. Yes, Custer was up there for a bit. Choo-choo train begins forming yet again during this part of the run. Then we saw something that would become a bit of a common theme during this race. Elliot picked up some debris on the grill and the engine temperatures were going up. He would not be the only one to suffer that. Elliot willingly gives up the lead to blow the debris off of his grill, which he was successful at. So that gave us our 9th pure lead change on lap 42. And now the 22 has debris on his grill from leading. Not too long afterwards. And the announcers were kind of joking, is that the same piece of debris? Nah, not possible. And then Chase Elliott powers back up and retakes the lead on lap 44. Logano and Elliott nearly make contact off of 4, racing for the lead. Dylan tries to go for the lead late in this stage, but no one goes with them. And Chase Elliott wins stage number 1 as Kyle Busch nearly loses it in the tri-oval. You looked like he was going to duck low, then duck back high, and nearly lost the car. So everyone comes in for service. Cody Ware does fuel only, while Kyle Busch is the first off with 4 tires. So then we get to stage 2, which was 50 laps. Several drivers come in and top up on fuel. Elliott leads the start of stage 2. Truex gets a push from LaJoie to take the lead on the restart. And then Cord LaJoie actually leads the lap in this race on lap 57, so good for him. He was actually very competitive in this race. Truex takes the lead on lap 58. Things kind of stall out a little bit in both lanes at this point. But Bell gets underneath the Truex for the race lead on lap 70. And then Bell gets debris on his grill as well, so he's the third guy to have that happen. Logano starts making his move on the inside lane. Then we get our second caution on lap 76. LaJoie gets nerfed by Tyler Reddick, causing everyone behind to check up to avoid, running into him. And it causes Eric Almirola and Alex Bowman to spin in turn 4 after they kind of get into each other from the stack up. What do you want, cat? Huh? I'm trying to work here. Little shit. So several drivers come in for service. Logano leads on the restart. Reddick. Seriously, cat? Seriously? Cat. Reddick got to second on the restart, but nearly loses it on the outside. Now it's Stenhouse leading. God. Stupid fucking cats. Okay. Two cats have tried to walk on this sheet of paper right here, thinking that it's solid. One of them actually fell through it. Oh, shit. Okay. Let's prevent that from happening again. It's a good thing I'm done with that page. But, oh, Lord have mercy. But, anyways, now it's Stenhouse leading the outside with help from Kyle Busch. The choo-choo train forms yet again. But Blaney tries to form a line on the inside to try to come to the front. Logano starts blocking like a madman, but ultimately didn't really work out, at least not for a bit, as Blaney would take the lead on lap 95, and then Logano would take the lead back on lap 97. 2 by 2 through the field coming towards the end of the stage. Austin Dillon starts coming on the inside. Logano blocks that move. And he wins stage number 2. This has been a very interesting race, to say the least, up to this point. Because, I mean, there are times when they try to go to the choo-choo train, and then there are other times when these guys just start racing it out. Let's wait till stage 3, though. Everyone comes in for service, and Byron wins the race off pit road. So now we come to stage number 3, 60 laps. This is when the shit really starts picking up. And watch the claws, cat. Shit. Byron leads the start of stage 3. Hamlin gets the lead in turn 2 on the restart. Logano hooks up with Harvick and pushes Harvick to the lead. So he takes the lead on lap 108. Then Chase Elliott takes the lead on lap 109. And at this point it's like lead change, lead change, lead change, lead change, lead change. We had 5 consecutive laps with lead changes. Harvick took the lead back from Chase. Logano tries to come back on the inside with Chastain in tow, and he takes the lead on lap 111. Then Chastain takes the lead for himself on lap 112. Incredible racing to start stage 3. Blaney and Truex start coming towards the front, with Blaney taking over the lead on lap 114. They actually go 4 wide, which makes me go, holy shit. Truex has to drop back to prevent from causing a big accident, because he was right in the middle of that. Then Ross Chastain has another go at the lead on lap 117. Things start to settle down a bit with 100 miles to go. Bowman now with a run on the inside with help from Kyle Busch. Bubba Wallace up to third at this point. And then all of a sudden, all the Fords come on the pit road for a surprise green flag pit stops, which I thought a lot of people thought was a little bit early, but you know, I guess it was a planned pit stop though. And then it was at this point in the race, while the Fords went to pit road for fuel, and we saw Bubba Wallace and Ross Chastain go back and forth for this race lead. How many times did they trade the lead during this point? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. They traded the lead 7 times in 10 laps. Yeah, so Bubba Wallace took the lead on lap 124. At first it looked like the Chevys were going to mass pit on lap 126, but they stayed out. Ross Chastain got the lead back on lap 125, and at this point I was like, man, Chastain and Wallace are going at it for this race lead. Then Wallace led lap 127, Chastain lap 129, then Bubba on lap 130, Chastain lap 131, Bubba Wallace on lap 133. That is 7 times in 10 laps that those two traded the lead back and forth. Insane. Then Kyle Busch took a turn at the lead on lap 137. As the JGR boys make their presence known in the high lane. Everyone except for Hamlin at this point. Everyone begins moving to the inside to prepare for green flag pit stops, but then on caution 3, lap 141, pretty much all the Rick Ware cars, save for one, the 51 of Cody Ware, the 53 of Garrett Smithley, and the 15 of Joey Gase were all involved in a wreck after the 53 of Garrett Smithley spins off of turn 4 and he collects his teammates. Seems to be a common thing at Daytona for Rick Ware Racing. The only one that wasn't involved was Josh Bilicki, and we'll get to him in a little bit. Everyone who didn't pit during that run comes in for service. A lot of fuel only, Bell with 2 tires, but Chase Elliott and several others take 4 tires, and I was like, Dylan gets nabbed for speeding and also reports an electrical issue, so they had to change the battery out. So Logano leads on the restart with 16 laps to go, but then we have our 4th caution on lap 147, and it's the big one. Truex spins down the backstretch after getting nerfed from behind. Collects William Byron, who I thought was actually Hamlin at first because the 2 cars were so similar, but collects Byron. Tyler Reddick, who actually had the nose smashed in, and there was a lot of smoke pouring from that car, but surprisingly they were able to get it repaired. I guess they bypassed the oil cooler or whatever the case may be, and as the car ran along, the smoke started to lessen and lessen. So I don't know what they fixed, but they got it back going again. Landon Castle was involved, Briscoe, Suarez, Keselowski, and Anthony Alfredo. There was a red flag issued to clean up the mess. So Logano leads on the restart with 10 laps to go. Almirola gets a run on the inside. Kurt Busch gets drop kicked back. Chris Buescher, with help from Elliot, takes the lead on lap 154. Then Elliot challenges Buescher on the inside to reclaim the lead for himself on lap 155. Matt DiBenedetto coming up on the inside. Logano has a flat tire in turn 3, but manages to get to pit road. Matty D, Elliot, and Buescher fighting for the lead, and this would eventually lead to our 5th caution on lap 198. Elliot tries to block DiBenedetto in turns 3 and 4, but comes across Matty D's nose, and yet another big one happens. Elliot, DiBenedetto, Priest, Denny Hamlin, Christopher Bell, Cole Custer, Kyle Busch, Ricky Stenhouse, and Kaz Grala were all involved in this crash. So, we are going to a green, white, checkered. Chris Buescher leads on the first overtime restart, of course, with a shot to win and make it into the playoff. Blaney gets clear for the lead on the restart and leads at the white flag. And then coming down the back stretch, we have our 6th and final caution on the final lap of the race. Another big one happens when Suarez tries to make a move on Harvick. Kurt Busch wanted to go with them, I would say, but made the move a little too early and actually ended up hooking the 99 in the right rear into the 4 of Kevin Harvick and sits off another one. And it pretty much junked the rest of the field with only several drivers making it through cleanly. And Ryan Blaney gets his 2nd straight win under caution this time at Daytona after winning at Michigan last week. So, a good race ends in a very shitty way, unfortunately, with 2 big wrecks. I mean, I know that's the way super speedway racing goes sometimes, but yeah, pretty shitty way for this race to end. And then on top of that, in post-race tech inspection, we learned that Chris Buescher was disqualified from his runner-up finish for an illegal track bar mounting assembly. Ouch. So everybody behind him moves up 1 more spot, and as a result, we get one of the strangest top 10 rundowns that I've personally seen in recent memory. Get to that in a minute. But yeah, this was a crazy ass, super competitive race. How competitive was this race? Let's go to the numbers. Overall lead changes. We had 45 overall lead changes in this race. 45 lead changes at Daytona. I mean, we haven't seen a number that big at Daytona in quite some time. Of those 45 overall lead changes, 32 were pure lead changes. Obviously, these are season highs. Just absolutely crazy numbers. There were 6 caution flags on the day, and there were 9,097 green flag passes. Yeah, cue the "it's over 9,000" shit. So that's an average of 67.9 passes per green flag lap. That's a lot of passing. 9,097 green flag passes in this race. Needless to say, it was a hell of a lot more competitive than the Daytona 500 was. Then again, when you place this race as the regular season finale, shit like that's going to happen. It's kind of crazy that the 400 was more competitive than the 500. Wrap your head around that shit. Alright, so let's do race results and the point standings as they stand. So, race results. Ryan Blaney, of course, was his 3rd win of the year. Bubba Wallace initially finished 3rd, but with Chris Buescher's disqualification, would wind up 2nd. But take a look at this top 10. We had 3 Ryans finish in the top 4. Ryan Blaney with the win. Ryan Newman with a 3rd place finish. Ryan Preece, who was involved in the next to last accident, finishes 4th. Tyler Reddick, who was smoking under our previous caution, finishes 5th. Justin Haley, who's a former winner of this race, believe it or not, finishes 6th. Alex Bowman finishes 7th. Chase Elliott in 8th. BJ McLeod comes home in 9th. And Josh Bilicki for Rick Ware Racing gets his first career top 10 finish. What the fuck is this top 10? Unbelievable. What a top 10 this is. Which leads us to the point standings. Of course, this is just overall points, because these are not this top, those in the top 16. Those are not the 16 that are going to the playoffs. This is just point standings as they stand after the 26 races. I'll actually show you who the 16 drivers are here in a second, based on the wins and shit. So the point standings, of course, to determine the regular season champion, Kyle Larson wins the regular season title by 18 points over Denny Hamlin. Chase Elliott in third, Kyle Busch in fourth, William Byron in fifth, Ryan Blaney in sixth, Martin Truex Jr. seventh, Joey Logano eighth, Kevin Harvick ninth, and Brad Keselowski rounded out the top 10. Tyler Reddick got the final spot in the playoff based on points. You have Alex Bowman in 12th, Austin Dillon ended up in 13th, and out of the playoff, Kurt Busch, Christopher Bell, Chris Buescher, of course, we got DQ'd from the race. Matt DiBenedetto, Ricky Stenhouse Jr., Bubba Wallace, and Ross Chastain round out the top 20 in the point standings. But here are your 16 drivers that will compete for the Cup in the NASCAR Cup Series playoffs in 2021. And that's the way they are seated. Going into the Southern 500 next week. Kyle Larson, of course, will be the number 1 seed. Had 5 wins on the year, won a lot of stages. Won the regular season title, which gave him 15 points. So he has a 28-point advantage to start things out. And while that's by no means a guarantee that he's going to make it through to the championship 4, it is a pretty damn good start, to say the least. And the thing about these playoff points, he can continue adding on to them through the playoff as well. So if he happens to win and move on to the next round, those extra 5 playoff points will be added on to his total that he already has. So he would start the round of 12 with 57 points, to have an example. Ryan Blaney, with 3 wins, will be the number 2 seed. Now, he's coming in with a lot of momentum. Martin Truex Jr. will be 3rd to start out with. Kyle Busch in 4th. Chase Elliott 5th. And you have Alex Bowman, Denny Hamlin, William Byron, Joey Logano, Brad Keselowski, Kurt Busch, Christopher Bell, Michael McDowell, Eric Almirola, Tyler Reddick, and Kevin Harvick. And realistically, you know, I'm looking at this list of 16, and I'm looking at, you know, how these drivers performed over this season. And realistically, I think there's only like 5 or 6 that could potentially win this Cup. I mean, obviously you got Kyle Larson, who's just been absolutely phenomenal all season long. Then you have Ryan Blaney, who's suddenly getting hot right at the right time. I mean, all of a sudden you got to consider him a favorite for this championship at this point. I look at Martin Truex Jr. in 3rd, and at this point I don't see him as a favorite. I don't see him making the championship 4, because while he does have 3 wins this year, last month or 2 it's just been incredibly inconsistent, and he hasn't really shown the performances that he had earlier this year. Kyle Busch, he's actually been pretty consistent this year. Probably would have had a good result at Daytona if he wasn't involved in that one crash, because he was up as high as 3rd in points. So I would still expect Kyle Busch to be a contender. Chase Elliott, he doesn't have an oval win yet this year, but he has been competitive at the ovals this year. So I would consider him as a dark horse. Alex Bowman, I don't know, he's been kind of hit or miss. Denny Hamlin, he doesn't have a win yet, but I wouldn't count him out because he's been super consistent, constantly inside the top 5. William Byron's been super consistent. Joey Logano, he just has the 1 win at the Bristol Dirt Race, but other than that, it's been hit or miss. Brad Keselowski, he's not winning it. He just has the 1 win at Talladega, and he's just been basically nowhere for the rest of the season. Kurt Busch, I don't think he's winning it. He just has the 1 win in Atlanta. Had a long stretch where he didn't even finish in the top 10. Christopher Bell, perhaps a dark horse leading up to the playoff. He was starting to put together some good runs, and a couple of runs just ended in bad luck. Michael McDowell, he's not winning it. He won the Daytona 500, so he's in here, you know, as a result, but not really consistent. Eric Almirola, he's definitely not winning it. I mean, yeah, he had the 1 win at New Hampshire, but that was more lightning in the bottle scenario. Other than that, Almirola and that 10 team's been fucking trash, so I see them as a first round exit. Tyler Reddick, I mean, he might be able to put together a good run. I'm not really sure. I mean, he was 11th in points overall, so he has been pretty decent this year. I mean, both RCR cars were actually pretty decent this year. So Reddick, he might be able to make it to the round of 12. Kevin Harvick, he's been somewhat consistent, but I mean, it's basically been top 10s and not top 5s. I mean, Stewart-Haas as a whole just hasn't been all that good this year. Harvick's been trying to carry the banner, but I mean, there's only so much you can do. So I don't see Harvick making it to the championship 4. Who would be my championship 4 at this point? Well, I would definitely put Larson in for sure. Based on his momentum, Ryan Blaney is looking like a favorite. After that, it's kind of a you pick 'em. I would say Busch probably has a shot at it. Chase Elliott, Hamlin, and Byron. I would say those are the 6 drivers that realistically have a shot at making the championship 4. Larson, Blaney, Kyle Busch, Chase Elliott, Denny Hamlin, and William Byron. The others, I mean, they're going to need some things to go their way. I mean, realistically, maybe the top 8. I mean, if things go their way, I mean, because I know Alex Bowman, he could get a win out of nowhere. You know, and I put Denny Hamlin in because even though he doesn't have a win this year, he has a lot of top 5s and top 10s, and honestly, he should probably have like 2 or 3 wins this year at the very least. And just bad luck has kept him from that. But that's how I feel about the playoffs going into the first race of the season, the playoff season next week at Darlington for the Southern 500. As for my final rating for the Cook 0400 at Daytona, this was a damn good race. I mean, if the finish wasn't so damn messy, I think I would have given this a 10 because, I mean, just look at how fucking competitive this race was. I mean, 45 overall lead changes, 32 of them pure lead changes. I mean, good lord. Over 9,000 green flag passes. I mean, this was a super competitive race. Fun to watch. It just sucks that the race ended like it did. So, I'm going to give this race a 9 on the fuel gauge. So, a 9 out of 10. I mean, honestly, the racing in the past month or so has actually been pretty damn good leading into the playoff. So, I mean, haven't really had a whole lot of complaints. I mean, there have been some bits here and there, you know, nitpicky shit. But, for the most part, the racing's been pretty good. I'm not going to lie. We'll see if that holds true going into the playoff, because there have been times past couple seasons where we go into the playoff and all of a sudden the quality of the racing just dips. Just rolls downhill like a boulder. So we'll have to wait and see what happens there. But anywho, that's going to do it for tonight's edition of The Fuel. Next week we start the playoff run for 2021 with the Southern 500 beginning around a 16. Who's going to make it? Who the fuck knows? But I guess we'll find out. But thank you very much for watching. And until next time, this is the Packer Man signing out. See you later.
Thank you for watching tonight's video. Be sure to like and subscribe, you rats!